Hi, in this introductory lesson to linear algebra, I want to introduce you to the XY coordinate system. It's created by the intersection of an x-axis, which runs horizontally, so that is your x-axis, and a y-axis that runs vertically. Okay, usually labeled like that. Where they intersect is called your origin. That is identified by the point notation 0, 0. And this is the first time that some students may have seen a point notation where you have parentheses, some number, comma, another number, and parentheses. So we're going to go back to that here. The XY coordinate system very often is labeled that. We've got another use of the parentheses in algebra. So I want you to recognize that first coordinate is your x coordinate, and the x coordinate runs. To get there, you go from the origin horizontally, either right or left, depending upon if it's positive or negative. And then the y coordinate would be, you would move up or down depending upon if that's positive or negative. So we want to get started going ahead and identifying each of these points that are labeled on this XY coordinate system. So starting with the first one, we have point A here, and I get to point A from the origin by going to the right 1 unit and then moving up 3 units. So that would be 1, 3. So that first notation of 1 indicates a movement of 1 along the x-axis, and that second notation of 3 identifies a movement of 3 units moving up and down. Something I forgot to point out was I need to go ahead and tell you about quadrants here. The intersection of the XY coordinate system breaks the space into 4 different quadrants. The first quadrant is quadrant 1, and we start there. Both coordinates are going to be positive there, and then counting counterclockwise, going backward. Quadrant 2 would be right here, quadrant 3 here, and quadrant 4 here. So we can see that point A is in our first quadrant. So that would be in quadrant 1. Notice that both of the coordinates are positive there. Okay, point B. How do I get to point B from the origin? I would count back or to the left or negative 5 along the x-axis, and then 5 units parallel to the y-axis moving up. So that's a positive 4 along the y-axis. So negative 5, positive 4. And notice that is in the second quadrant. And notice that in the second quadrant, our first coordinate was negative. Okay, point C. It's down here. To get there from the origin, again, I'm going to go and then to the left along the x-axis, and that's negative 2 units. And then I'm also going to go down parallel to the y-axis, negative 4 units here. So that would be negative 2. I'm trying to get my negative and the 2 in there in that space. And then negative 4. So I want you to see that both of these are negative, and this is in quadrant 3. Point D is over here in this quadrant 4, and we went 6 units to the right, or positive units along the x-axis, and then down 3, so that would be 6, negative 3 in the fourth quadrant. So you notice the y coordinate is negative in the fourth quadrant. Then point E we have here, it's on the x-axis, and so the movement along the x-axis is 4 units, but there's no movement up or down. So this is 4, 0, and we're going to scratch this quadrant out because it's not in a quadrant, it's on the x-axis. Okay, and then point F is on the y-axis. So to get there from the origin, we didn't move right or left, so there's no movement along the x-axis, but we moved down 2 units, so that's negative 2 along for the y coordinate. So that is 0, negative 2. And again, that's not on a quadrant, or in a quadrant, that's on the y-axis. And so I want you to note that any point that is going to be on the x-axis is going to have a y coordinate of 0. And any point that is on a y-axis is going to have an x coordinate that is 0. So that's the pattern that you might need to be aware of there. Next, we're going to plot some points. So again, this point right here is our origin, where our x and our y coordinates coordinate, or intersect. So that was identified as point L here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm kind of hopping out of order, but I'm going to go ahead and put point L in there. Okay, point G is negative 3, 2. Now remember, The first coordinate is our movement along the x-axis, and because that's negative, we're going to go to the left. So starting from the origin, I'm going to go back to the left 3 and then up 2. And I'll identify that as point G. Okay, H, first coordinate is positive, so I'm going to be going to the right. The second coordinate is negative, so I'll be going down. So I'm going to go to the right 1 unit and down 4 units. So that would be H right here. Okay, for J, they're both positive, so we're going to go to the right 3 units and then up 2. So over 3 and up 2, and this is point J. For K, we have both of them negative. We're going to go to the left negative and down 3. To the left negative 2 and then down 3. So this will be K here. L we've already identified as our origin. It's where the 2 axes intersect, and that is at point 0, 0. M is 0, 3, so starting at the origin, there's no movement right or left, but we have movement up 3 for our Y coordinate, and so that would be point M there. Point N, there is movement, positive movement of 2 units to the right, but no movement up or down. So this is point N here. Okay, P, we're starting at the origin again, and our movement, our first coordinate is negative, so we're going to move to the left, and that's 3 units. And then there is no movement up or down, so this is going to be on the x-axis as well. So this is P. For point R, we have 0 movement right or left, but we're moving down 4 units. So this point R would be down here. Okay. So that makes our introduction to the XY coordinate system. From here, we're going to go into looking at equations and plotting linear equations on the XY coordinate system.